Hello, hello. Let's talk about how I created a 20K cash month. Exactly how you can too. And a big announcement about the future of and what's coming to life with passion. You all, the first thing that I want to say is if you tried to join me last week for this live stream, thank you for your patience. Facebook Live did not cooperate in the most epic fail possible. And so I am back today. I believe that now is the perfect time for us to be here. I'm glad that you're joining me live, or if you're watching the replay, that you're watching the replay. And my goal for today is to help you exactly where you are in your business. No matter if you're still working on getting visible for the first time with your business, figuring out what that business looks like, what you're charging, how you're going to message, what your niche is, how to get clients, whether you've made your first sale and you're looking to make more, or whether you're booking clients and you want to scale how many you're booking and your revenue to have your dream month, whatever that number is, whether it's 5K, maybe it's your first 1K, maybe it's 5K, maybe it's 10K, or maybe it's a 20K month in revenue. So as we get started, I'd love for you to tell me hi, and I'd love for you to tell me what would a dream month look like for you? What's that number that you've had in your head? Oh my gosh, if I could hit 5K. Oh my gosh, if I could hit 7K, if I could hit 10K, wow, that would feel amazing. What is that number for you? Because some of these things that we are working on that I'm going to share with you, I want you to be able to apply to a number, a specific number that you have in your head, that you have a goal that you have for your business. What I'm doing today is pulling back the curtain and sharing my exact strategy, the actions that I took, and answering your questions to help you get to your dream month, whatever that month is. So let's talk about this. I created a 20K month, and it was in a very unconventional way. So I think that a lot of times what I see are these bright, shiny ads and promises about like, I created a 20K month and you can too if you follow this exact pattern, right? If you follow this exact strategy, if you do this or that. But what I really want to do is demystify this for you, because so many of us are looking for that magic bullet, right? That easy answer. Of course, we want it to be simple. We want it to be clear. We want to know the thing that works exactly for us. But part of the thing about building a business, which is the beautiful and frustrating thing, is that you've got to figure out how it's going to work with your business, your personality, right? Like we've been talking about in the group, your preferences, your passions, and what you're selling, right? So selling a 1K package, for example, is going to look really different than selling a 5K package in terms of the results that you're going to get. But the way that you approach it might be exactly the same. So here is what I want to tell you. And I'd love for you all to be sharing your dream. What's a dream month for you look like? If you want to be brave and share with us in the comments. Here's the first thing that I want you to know that led to my 20K month. Are you ready? Are you ready? The first thing that I did was I sold one thing and one thing only. Okay? I sold one thing and one thing only. And that was it. That was all I talked about. That was all I talked about when I was selling. How many times do we try to talk to people and say, oh, well, I could offer you this or I could offer you this, and we're jumping around trying to find something that might attract them enough to go, yes, I want to buy that. And what happens is we confuse them. And confused people don't buy. And what I want to tell you is that offering a bunch of things is not the way to have a 20K month. Do I have a bunch of things on offer at this point in my business? Yes. I have a book. I have 2 info products. I have a half-day intensive. And I have a one-on-one coaching offer. I sold one of those things in the process of having this 20K month. And I attached to it a real urgency factor. So what did I sell? I sold my one-on-one 6-month coaching package. I attached a real urgency factor to it, not a fake one of like, oh, I'll try to pressure people into working with me because give them like a deadline and then they need, but I know in the back of my mind that like I'm still going to keep offering it. No, I knew that within 2 weeks of making this announcement, I was closing and putting on a wait list my 6-month mentorship. I knew that my plans for 2019 were shifting. And we'll get to that in a minute. And by the way, this is December. So this was a little over 2 months ago when I was going through this exact process. So, and traditionally, by the way, December is like people say in this industry, in the service-based industry, it's a terrible time to sell. Everybody's distracted by other things. And so that's another reason that I wanted to share with you really the details of this is because you don't have to let common wisdom or whatever, common pervasive opinion sway your business. In fact, I've had 2 massive Decembers in a row. So I sold one thing. I sold my 6-month mentorship with a real urgency factor. It was closing in 2 weeks. It was closing in 2 weeks because I knew my plans for 2019 were shifting. And we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that and then I'll share a little bit more with you about why. But here's another thing that I want you to know. Like, so that's not complicated, right? There's no secret there. I had one thing that I was going to sell and I said, it's going away in 2 weeks. It really is. Like, take it or leave it. I'm not kidding. This is disappearing. You guys have any questions about that? About that first piece? Okay. The second piece is that I stayed consistent. I stayed consistent. I got and stayed consistent with offering that over that period of time in very specific ways. So we think sometimes as high achievers, when we say get consistent, or we think about being consistent, immediately what we do is we put pressure on ourselves. Oh my gosh, I have to create all of this stuff. I have to be everywhere. I have to be checking in on Facebook or whatever every 5 seconds to see if someone's commented on a thing, or they are looking for something I have to offer, or they have a question for me before they go buy in from someone else if they don't hear back from me right away, right? That is only going to make you crazy. Coming from a place where I am showing up consistently in this one main place to start when you're starting your business, right? When you're working on getting this consistency. I have one main strategy and this is how I'm going to show up. That's how I created a 20K month. So what did that mean specifically? For me, it meant that I stayed consistent by what I call the 3 C's of my business. Okay, which for me, the way I've created a 6-figure business, multiple 6 figures in revenue in 3 years, is I have focused on coaching, connecting with people in a real way, because I'm an introvert and I do that well, right? I like to connect with people. I like to go deep with them. And creating. What do I mean by creating? I mean creating and repurposing content. So whether that is posts in this Facebook group, or whether that is appearing on a podcast, which is one of my favorite things to do, or whether that is taking some of this content and reposting it in another group, or sending an email to my list, I am creating and repurposing content. I'm also connecting with people as a real person, because guess what? You're buying, if you're buying or you're selling, you're buying or you're selling to another real person, right? Like another real person just like you is on the other end of that transaction, putting in their credit card number, you know, freaking out before they push purchase, right? Like it's a human being on the other side of that. And one of the things that I know about like my personality and the way that I work really well is that I connect with people. Like I'm really sensitive, really empathetic. I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories, and I love helping them get where they want to be, right? So for me, connecting is just such a great way to build those relationships that turn into clients. And of course, then coaching is one of the 3 C's of my business, because it's what I do, right? Like I have a coaching business. So for you, if you have a service-based business, it's what's your service? Insert service here, right? Are you a VA? Insert serving your clients there, right? Are you a graphic designer? Insert designing, right? Whatever it is. You make websites. Whatever it is that you make, like that's your version of coaching. Connecting with people, right? Letting them know what you have to offer, being a real human being, and then creating content to reach and warm up and serve a colder audience, right? So I know that my audience consists of people at all different parts of the buying cycle. Some of them have read the book. Some of them have read my free chapter. Some of them haven't done either of those things. Some of them are brand new to me. Like people come in at all different places. And I don't say that to be overwhelming, but to say, hey, it's important that I have the ability to be consistent and to reach them in all kind of wherever they are in a very simple way that doesn't make me crazy. Does that make sense? Now, I'd love to hear your feedback. Like, is this making sense? Is this helpful for you all as you think about how to apply this to your business? And do you have questions about it? So I sold one thing and one thing only, and I gave it a real urgency factor because I knew that my plans for 2019 were shifting, which like I said, I'll get to that in a minute. I stayed consistent with the 3 things that I know move my business forward. And let me just say this about consistency too. Like more than anything else that I have shared or I'm going to share, if you're not consistent, even if you feel like your stuff isn't perfect, or you don't have the logo that you want, or you don't have the pictures of yourself that you want, or you don't have, you know, the great content that you feel like is the end all be all, or you don't have this or you don't have that, if you're not being consistent, you have no business thinking about or focusing on anything else in your business. If you're not consistently getting out there with one specific offer and getting known for that thing, if instead you're like throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall, or like trying all these different approaches, or trying to be on a bunch of different platforms and do them all well, and trying to grow your following on Instagram and this and on that, then that's not going to work. It's not going to work, because you've got to become known for your thing. And that's not as hard as it sounds. I know a lot of times when people say like, oh, you have to become the go-to expert, like that can feel, again, like a lot of pressure, which we want to avoid. High achievers, we're really, really good at putting pressure on ourselves. Can I get an amen? We're really, really good at being perfectionists. We're really, really good at going, just give me the better plan and the better strategy, and I will take it and run with it and be perfect with it and execute it. But if you're struggling in your business, then the first question always, always, always to ask yourself is, how consistent am I being? How consistent am I being? And not as a reason to beat yourself up, but just as a way to go, this is the first and most important thing I could possibly do in my business. Am I getting in front of people consistently? If I'm not, I am not going to be creating consistent income, consistent revenue, right? So if you are not consistent and you're asking yourself a different question, you are not solving the right problem. And I know that when we're getting started or, kind of trying to get clear or whatever, consistency is the biggest issue that I see in getting that business off the ground. And so that's why I'm harping on it, because consistency cannot be overstated. Cannot be overstated. And I will say this too, it's way more important. It is way more important than trying to get really, really attached to having a certain number outcome in your business. So if you're like, man, I really want to have a 5K month in business, and this is very counterintuitive. I will say this, what I'm about to say is it's very countercultural. Most places, most books, whatever, when they teach you how to set goals, they tell you to like, see that number, see that 20K in your mind and like get really, really wrapped up in that and just like visualize that amount in your bank account and like get really attached to that number and that outcome and like figure out exactly how you're going to hit it. And I'm going to tell you this, I practiced that stuff for a long time, never worked for me. Doesn't work for my clients either. Why? Because we typically get way too controlling about it and obsessive about it, and we do not allow it to come to us in the way that's best for us, which can feel really scary to a control freak. Believe me, I get it. But whether you're or not you're into like anything woo-woo, when we shut down, when we put that pressure on like it has to happen in this way and it has to be this amount, we literally shut down the creative pathways in our brains and can't see any other possibilities. So we don't behave as if there are any other possibilities, which means we just stress this freak out, and we typically don't get what we want. I did a video on this called why SMART goals aren't working for you. So if you want to know more about what I have to say about that, then go look for that. It's in the group here. But I first want to say, no business like getting really, really attached to that goal and focusing and stressing about that. If you tried that in the past and it's not working for you, let's try something else, right? So what I will say about this 20K month is that I just knew that I was going to offer this and be open to who was going to come in. And some pretty crazy like stories to share with you about how this all unfolded in a way that I didn't expect. But that's because it was open to whatever was best, whichever clients were best to come to me, right? Which I believe that whatever clients are meant to come to me, they will resonate. They will feel like, yep, I really like you. I feel like you can help me. I'm ready to show up in this way. And those are the ones that will show up for themselves and reach out and ask for help, right? So Sherry asks, let me know if that makes sense. Sherry asks, what if you don't have a real urgency? What do you do to create that? So I'd say like, Sherry, a couple of things. First of all, like you don't have to, right? I mean, I know I would say like I've consistently booked clients without having that urgency factor in place, right? Just having like rolling enrollment for one-on-one, because that's how my business is structured. When I have space, I can take people on. But there are lots of other ways to create urgency if you feel like that's something that you want for you. So like when I first started my business, I knew that I wanted to get my feet under me. I wanted to be able to practice. I was doing something brand new. And so I knew where I wanted to be charging. And I also knew that I wasn't ready to say that number yet. So I offered 50% off for my first 3 clients. And I just talked about that. And I didn't say, hey, it has to be by this date. I was just like, hey, if you're one of the first 3, that was the urgency factor, right? Instead of one of this 3 and by this date. So I'd say like you can always do something like that. You can always offer a price, urgency factor, discount, limited number if you want to. But I think that the reality of if you're offering like a service-based, if you're offering a service, I mean, the reality, not lying, is that you are limited. If you do what I do, you can't take on 50 one-on-one clients and serve them well, right? So it's really asking yourself, like, what do I want to talk about that really and truly feels authentic in terms of an urgency factor for me, right? Is it time? Is it price? Is it some bonus I'm going to add? Like if you sign up, then you're going to get, the next few people who sign up are going to get this, right? In addition to the regular package. Like there are so many options for how to do that. That it definitely doesn't just depend on timing and timeline if you don't feel like you have like a real one. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Another thing that I did while I was offering this to have a 20K month is that I followed up with people individually. I know that a lot of times we're scared to do this because we're like, oh, I don't want to feel pushy. I don't want to feel salesy. A lot of my clients are like really confused about how to do follow-up in a way that like strengthens the relationship rather than just in a way that like feels icky and just like, hey, are you ready now? Are you ready now? Are you ready now? Like my dog when, you know, she wants a treat. How about now? How about now? How about now? Right? Or more recent example, my 2-year-old who got candy at school, trying every 5 minutes to see if I've changed my mind about giving her candy hearts before a meal, right? Hearts? Hearts now? So like, you don't have to follow up in that way at all by any means. But if you have something on offer that you know people have been interested in, have expressed interest about before that you think would be a really good fit, it's actually serving them to say, hey, this is going away, or hey, if now feels like a good time for you, I wanted to let you know you get this bonus, or I wanted to let you know that I'm offering it at this price right now. Because people don't know, right? And in this case, like, how busy are we all in December, right? If someone had been thinking about working with me, but then they got busy because Thanksgiving, or, you know, they've been traveling, or maybe they were sick or whatever, they appreciate being reached out to and being kept in the loop. They might not see my emails that go out. They might not see my posts in my group, right? So if you have people you've talked about before, your offer with before, keep track of them, follow up with them, build that relationship, right? You never know when somebody is going to be ready. And frankly, that's not your business. Your business is to get in front of them consistently. So I had set the intention, like, I'm open for these people to come. They've just got to come in this container because I know my plans for 2019 are shifting. So that looked like people coming that I didn't expect. I followed up with who I knew to follow up with. I was visible where I knew to be visible. But then I had a client, a new client, come to me who found me on Google. And let me tell you something, I do zero SEO or search engine optimization on my website, on my blog. Zero, none, not a priority, not a lead generator for me. Guess what? It's because I didn't go in and say they have to come in this way. They have to come from the Facebook group. They have to come from my list. They have to do this, right? It has to be one of these people I've already had a call with before, whatever. No, I'm cool, right? I mean, this is joking, but one of the things that I talk with my clients about is, of course, we want to be strategic, but there's a way in which acting as if you believe it, but without cutting yourself off to all the other options, is more just about acting as if you believe it than it is about bringing this about specifically because you stayed in front of your computer all of the time, refreshing, looking for notifications, obsessing, what else can I be doing? And that leads into my next point of what I did, which is that I relaxed, which, listen, is not always normal for me. You can hear my voice. I've got a little bit of a cold. I apologize. But it's not always normal for me, but it's something that I'm learning because yes, there's work in setting up and building a business. Of course there is. There's startup work, right? Most of us are doing this by ourselves. I have a team now, but that's been something that I've consciously created and added on as I've gone along, right? As the business has expanded and as I had my rainbow baby fee, right? And as my responsibilities at home increased, right? So like, it doesn't matter where you are today. Part of this is about enjoying the process. And one of the things that I've been talking about in the group is giving yourself permission to use sort of the 3 P's of who you are in order to build a business that you love and you love running. You love being in. So those 3 P's are personality, your personality. What are your preferences, right? How do you want to live your life? And your passions. What do you love? What do you want to do more of in your business? What do you hate and not want to do? Not that we're never going to have to do something that feels uncomfortable or that scares us, but most of us know what we just hate and what we're scared of but kind of drawn to, right? And those are 2 different things. And so we want to make sure that we're focusing on building the business in the way that we're designed, on figuring that out, right? Like Dan Miller, who wrote 48 Days to the Work You Love, says 85% of this business building process is internal, which is why I'm talking about some of these kind of concepts that are like, are you open to people coming however, right? That might feel kind of out there, like, that just sounds crazy, Christine, give me the clear plan. And listen, I am. We're talking about the very strategic things that I did here, but I believe it's also important as a sensitive, intuitive person to be open to ideas, to be open to new things, to be open to miracles, to be open to magic. And so I rested in this time. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why in a minute, but I gave myself permission to use the 3 P's of my personality, which is that I'm introverted, right? Among other things. My preferences, which is that I want it to be really simple. I know I can have a tendency to overcomplicate, but I want it to be really simple, which is why I shared what I shared. I was only selling one thing. I was following up with people, building real relationships. And my passions are helping people, helping high achievers transform through entrepreneurship, right? If you have a desire for it, I believe that's because it's a calling for you. And so I showed up where I normally did. You know, I showed up in my Facebook group every day. That's a commitment that I have, right? And show up for you all in the group. But over the course of 2 weeks, I only did 2 emails to my list about this. I did not send like 50, like a launch. I sent 2 broadcast emails to my list that's separate from like the individual outreach that I did to just a handful of people who I already knew were thinking about it. I did one live stream about it. One. You can go back. You can look. December. 1 live stream talking about this offer for 6 months. Okay? And I mentioned to you that I did the mindset work to believe that the right people would come to me at the right time. I did not say it's going to be 20K, it's going to be 20K, it's going to be 20K. I did not have that fixated, drawn all over, popping up on my phone. What I did do in terms of mindset work was be open to the hows. Like I said to you, an amazing, amazing client found me on Google, right? She didn't even know she was looking for me. She hit the website and went, oh my gosh, I didn't know this, but this is exactly what I've been looking for. Some of the people who came in, were people I didn't expect. They weren't on my radar, right? They just felt drawn to me and they decided to reach out, or they've been thinking about it for a little while and hadn't said anything to me. And they realized because I put it out there, this was their chance. Does that make sense? Here's what I did not do. work a lot more than normal. In fact, I worked a lot less than normal, which I think is such a beautiful example to those of us who tie our results to having to work harder and harder and more, because it's actually not the work. The work is learning to do our best, relax, and let go, rather than make it harder and harder and harder for ourselves, right? Because at some point, that's not going to be fun. That's going to cease getting you what you want in terms of building a business. So the earlier you can get that lesson, and the earlier you can align yourself to that truth, the better. To that belief, right? Because it is a belief that then you can create. Another thing that I did do was I allowed myself to be coached. I allowed myself to be coached through the process, so that I had somebody I trusted who'd gotten the results I wanted to turn to and say, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think about this? Help catch me where I might be stopping myself. How can I make this more simple, easy, and fun, right? How can I use what I already have and get maximum results? And that was really an important piece for me, to have that trust of knowing that I can lean on somebody and have that insight from them to be coached. Other things that I did not do. So I did not obsess over this for months. I did not by any means go like in October, oh, December's going to be my big month. December's going to be my big month. I got to prepare for it. I got to do all the stuff, right? I got to take 2 months to get ready. I did not do that. I mentioned to you that I worked a lot less than normal. I did not work on this day and night. I was traveling for a week of it. I had my entire side of the family, 4 generations, right? My grandmother, my parents, my brother and his fiance, me and my husband and Fee, and our 2 dogs in the house for like over a week around the holidays. It's a real full house. By the way, I love that show. Love Fuller House. Anyone else? Oh my gosh, such a throwback to my childhood. Appreciate it so much. Love Steve. A little aside there. And I was sick. I was sick for a lot of December. So it was kind of like these things all combined. I believe in order to be able to show you all this example of like, it doesn't have to be the grind, the hustle of beating yourself up all the time. You can be strategic and you can show up in a way that works for you with whatever you have going on in your life. And you can ask for what you want also. You can ask for what you want. All right. So are you getting this? Are you getting the things that I did and didn't do? Is this making sense? Here's another thing I didn't do. I didn't wait till everything was perfect, you all. I did not wait until everything was perfect. In fact, everything was really far from perfect. Everything was really far from perfect in December. So I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable with you all and share like what was really going on in December. I was really, really sick. I was very sick. I was dealing with some, trying to figure out like the next best steps for Fee, who's 2.5. If you don't know, my daughter, she's dealing with some chronic health stuff, and I was really struggling to figure out, we weren't getting the answers that made any sense or that felt helpful from the doctors. And so I was trying to figure out what was best for her, and I was stressing about that, of course. I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with depression and I was dealing with anxiety. These things happen for me at times. It's part of something that I've dealt with for a long, long time. For me, it comes along with the territory of being very sensitive, very intuitive, empathetic person who tends to take on a lot of what I feel around people, from people around me, right? And being an introvert. And that's part of my work to manage. And also knowing that like those things don't have to stop me from being like a kick-ass coach or being the kind of present mom I want to be, or, you know, wife or business owner or community leader, all of those things. I was dealing with all of that. All right. There's a really good reason. I am expecting another baby. That is my big announcement. Now we're going to talk more about what that means. But from a life perspective, I am expecting a little sibling for Maeve and for Fiora. And I knew that in December. And my pregnancies have been full of, of challenges, even apart from my experience of having a full-term loss and 3 miscarriages. So what that has meant for me is that my pregnancies have all been accompanied, they've all triggered depression inside the pregnancy, which happens to 1 in 5 women. It's not really talked about like postpartum is. Every single time I have experienced what they call antenatal depression. So like bad, like can't get off the couch, which for me is really, really unusual, right? I love being, I love going, I love doing, I'm a high achiever, right? So the hormones have affected my body and my mental state in that way. And so I knew in December that my priorities were protecting my energy so that I could serve my clients and protecting my energy so that I could protect this pregnancy and have what I wanted. And so it wasn't even an option to go, oh, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna send 10 emails and do a live stream every single day for the whole month until I have as many spots booked as I want. It was much more about the intention, creating a clear plan, and setting and letting go. Setting and letting go for these clients, the right clients to come to me at whatever point, in whatever way they were meant to. Because I didn't even have the ability to go crazy with my work. Does that make sense? And I share that with you guys for a lot of reasons. First of all, I want to share this news with you. Second of all, I want you to know that it doesn't matter what shit show is happening in your life. You can still build a business. Even if you're dealing with things that felt really, really hard, because thank you so much. Like, thank you for the hearts and the congratulations. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you also know, if you've been around here and know my story, that this also brings up major trauma for me, right? And is a highly uncertain time, right? Because of my past experience. And so while everything looks great, everything looks healthy, and I'm well underway, right? I'm over halfway through my pregnancy at this point. My body also doesn't forget what I've experienced, right? And so I share that with you because a lot of times I hear people say, it's not the right time for me because XYZ. It's not the right time for me because XYZ. It's not the right time for me because I'm going through a big transition in my life. It's not the right time for me because I have this happening, or I'm so busy, or whatever. And like, if that feels true for you and you want that to be true and that feels peaceful and good, then great. But if it doesn't have to be your story, right? So here I am, like super, super sick, nauseous, anxious, depressed, traveling, family coming in town, dealing with health concerns with my daughter, and still have a 20K month. And that's the truth. Because of the things that I have shared with you all. Now, for me, faith and spirituality plays an important role, because if I don't have something that I can trust and something to lean back on, and a belief that someone is looking out for my highest good, I'm going to make myself insane, right? At the end of the day, I know my limitations. And so part of this is me working as a co-creator, which I believe we're made in the image to be able to do. And part of it is going, I'm going to show up how I can, and I'm going to let go. Because I'm grateful. Obviously, I'm so grateful to have had this experience, but I'm really, really grateful that it happened when it did, so that I can always look back and I can share with you all and go, it is not about working 80 hours a week in your business. It is not about working 80 hours a week in your business. That is not what gets you the kind of results that are sustainable and that feel good and that lead to a life and a business with passion. Does that make sense? Okay, so what if you don't have any of these pieces in place yet? What if you're like, well, Christine, I don't have a community. I'm not visible. I'm not consistent. All I can see are the doubts and the reasons why not. I'm too busy. I don't even know what I'm offering or how I'm going to package and price it, right? Much less have I been consistent in talking about those things, and I'm scared, right? We had a couple of questions come in last week on this topic that I wanted to answer, and I wanted to give you all the chance to ask your own. I'm an open book about this stuff. And I also wanted to, share with you what's next for Life with Passion based on this news. So Ashley had asked, how do you create these kind of months with no starting capital and no current team without burning out? It's such a great question. I'm really glad that you asked that, Ashley. And also I want to, I think there's a big myth that you need a massive amount of starting capital to start a simple, like an online business. And I have started 4 businesses. My online businesses, I've started with 0 capital, 0, right? It's really different than when you used to have to go out to the bank and take out a massive loan, give them a 50-page business plan, and go get a brick and mortar space, right? And buy all this inventory and whatever. Which is why I'm really passionate about service-based businesses, because there's such low overhead. And you could be as lean as you want. Sorry, my nose is getting really stubby. Okay, so this is the thing. You don't need starting capital to start a service-based business. I have never. So that's thing 1. I believe you don't need it. Thing 2, definitely possible to do this without a team as well. Obviously, you all hearing like what I had going on in my business and in my life at the time, I had a team in place. I was really, really grateful to be able to rely on them to do things like repurpose content and do like some of the admin things and some of the stuff that like I'm not good at, like designing things and laying stuff out and that sort of thing. But the keys to a successful business do not rely on having a team. Having a team is awesome and I love it. And also you don't need one to start having consistent income replacing and then some months. You just don't. Okay? And part of starting a business and running it and getting it consistent is that you doing some of these things in the beginning of your business are going to help you get really, really clear on what you want to outsource first, what makes the most sense for you to outsource, and what only you can do that you should never outsource, right? I can't outsource a live stream, right? I can't outsource writing all of my content. Certainly we can repurpose things and reuse them, and I can get some help putting them in different places. But I just want to say that, like, I know that most of you are solopreneurs, right? I just want to say that you're in a great place wherever you are to be focusing on the simple things that I just shared with you, right? You do not need a team in order to be consistently visible. You do not need a team in order to have one thing and sell it, right? You do not need a team in order to follow up. It's more about identifying, knowing, and sticking to the things that are going to move your business forward, which are the things I just shared with you, than it is about going to have to be everywhere at once. Otherwise, I'm going to burn out. And I can't be everywhere at once because I don't have a team. So therefore, I can't have what I want. Do you see what your brain does there? No, actually, I don't know like if any of this is applicable to you, but I'm just saying like these are a lot of the things that I hear in general. Okay. And then Kirsten had a question about workflow and processes, like working backward from how we got there. I shared with you that I'm consistent. I show up every day in this group. I have content. Once you create content once, you can reuse it in different places, different platforms, or 3 months ago, you can reuse it now. If you don't have any content, there's nothing more important that you could be doing to get consistent, to be in front of people. So I think a lot of times where the overwhelm comes in is where we try to like take a workflow or a process. Like, oh, if I just set up this spreadsheet, I have all these categories and I do this stuff, then it will feel simple. When we actually don't have the basics that even require that spreadsheet. Now, I'm an organized person and I love to plan, but what I know also is that creating valuable content for you all is way more important than any spreadsheet that I could ever make or spend, days on, or any project management system that I could ever have to maximize productivity. But I think a lot of times we get that backward and we think we need all these systems and structures in place. And then that keeps us from actually doing the thing that we need to do most, which is, as I said, and repeat it again, what? Consistency, right? Consistency. Consistency above all. Consistency above all. Now, workflows and processes can help you to become consistent, but again, they have to work with your preferences, personality, passions, right? So if you are a person who likes to create at night, how are you creating a workflow or process so that you can create at night? How are you protecting that time, right? If you're a person who can take an hour, go to a coffee shop and get a lot more done than you could in the house, how are you creating a workflow for you to be able to go do that and get it all out of your head? Then it's done and you don't have to post it directly into Facebook. That's a big one that I do, is I write my content ahead of time. And then I'm not popping into Facebook to try to write a big thing and getting distracted by all the bings, mongs, notifications, right? Like I'm in a casino and, oh, I need to respond to this, I need to respond, well, whatever, right? I write it ahead of time. So in terms of a workflow and a process, yeah, I write my content ahead of time. Obviously, with everything that was going on in December for me, we reused a lot of stuff. I had a sales page ahead of time that outlined what I was offering. I had a calendar set up that people could book calls with me, right? And I was not afraid to share that consistently, share how people could work with me, and to share who it was for. And at the end of the day, it was about building relationships and making sure people knew what I had to offer. And for me, the main place I have community is right here in my Facebook group, right? You all know this. That's why you're watching. It's a beautiful, real community that I've been consistent in since I started it. And so it doesn't matter if you don't have those things. It's like, where are you already hanging out online? Where are you hanging out because you feel like people are like you in there? That's a place to start sharing about what you're up to. That's a place to start getting known, right? That's a place to start where you are. Because there was a time in my business when I didn't have a Facebook group. There was a time in my business when I didn't have an email list, right? There was a time in my business when I didn't have the ability to live stream. It didn't exist when I started my business, right? So I wasn't doing any of these things. And I didn't have a workflow or process yet because I was still working on what worked best for me. So really want you to keep that in mind, that I think a lot of times we get stuck around trying to get all those systems and structures in place first, when really it's something you can knock out so fast. That's why I made the Business Basics Bootcamp, because it's 4 hours, including implementation time, and it walks you through the steps that you need to have the basics to put yourself out there, collect money, right? Have a package, have a service that you like, and that's it. Like, that's it. You can do it in a half day, or you can do it in a weekend if you want to split it up. So like when you're starting out, especially when you're working by yourself, you don't need a ton of really strict workflow processes in order to be successful. It's more about knowing what your priorities are and making sure those get done every week. And so for a service provider who wants to be visible, build a business that's like location independent, right? Like my clients do, and probably like a lot of you do, it's being visible. It's being visible where you're comfortable in one place and getting known, liked, and trusted there, and also making your offers there. And the way that I do that is by providing content, right, that connects me to people. Beautiful. So like I said, any other questions, please ask. But what does this mean for like the future of life with passion, right? I've made this announcement. What does this mean for the rest of the year? Because obviously I shared with you now, and you know why I closed down my 6-month mentorship. I will say that at the time, I wasn't ready to share. And honestly, I didn't know if or when I would be. Like, I just didn't. But I made a decision to now. And I also, I said I had a real urgency factor earlier, right? I sold one thing with an urgency factor, but I didn't tell people why. You don't have to, right? I didn't tell people, sorry guys, in July, which is my due date, in July, I'm expecting to have a baby. And so I'm counting backwards and going, well, I guess I need to align my business model to that, right? It wasn't like that. I just said, hey, it's going away. This is my business. I get to do what I want, right? And so that I think is important to note as well. So what does that mean? What does that mean for me? Well, I'm going to take the summer off. I'm going to take the summer off to hoping and trusting, have a healthy, happy baby, and welcome this baby into my family. And that also means that I want to be really, really clear about how I can help each and every one of you. When I say take the summer off, doesn't mean I'm going to disappear. We're going to do things like be sharing content, be sharing stuff that's really helpful for you. The one thing I'm taking and trainings and things like that, the thing I'm taking the summer off from is coaching. And so what I decided to do was, because I know that there are some of you who want that one-on-one help before the fall when I come back and I'm available to do it again, is I decided to create a 90-day sprint. I decided to create a 90-day sprint. So getting lots of questions like the ones that I just answered. How do I do this without a team? How do I get consistent without burning out? How in the world do I set up simple systems, structures, processes that will work for me? And so what I decided to do is to call it, create a 90-day sprint called the From Stuck to Signing Clients. So from stuck to signing clients, I'm going to drop the link to read about it right here in the comments. From stuck to signing clients is a 90-day sprint going March through May. And so you're watching this live. It's open through next Friday, March 1st. Closes Friday, March 1st. So this is me walking alongside you step by step to help you get clear, get confident, and create a client generating plan with the support, mindset work, and accountability to get that first like cohort of clients, right? So that you have the opportunity to have that month that you want, right? Without freaking out, stressing out, starting and stopping, burning out, questioning yourself at every turn, those things that we all do if we're just flailing around trying to figure this out on our own, right? So I'm going to bring, the way that I work with my clients is this unique blend of support and accountability, and also like helping you learn to think like an entrepreneur at the same time, so that you're taking the steps, but also not stopping yourself because you believe you can't underneath it, right? Or because you believe it has to be hard, and so you make everything hard, right? So support, accountability, and clear, consistent action to show up, right? To get consistent. 90 days to go from stuck to signing clients. Because I know how frustrating that can be. Just feel stuck, to feel like you're spinning your wheels. And I designed this to be this idea of a sprint. I'm not doing a whole lot of sprinting right now, and physically, but this idea of a sprint, meaning you are going to have 3 30-minute calls with me every month. So like, we're going to have these short, like in-depth calls, 3 weeks of every month, where you're going to get that clarity. We're going to build up your confidence. We're going to talk about next steps to get you consistent, and you're going to go, right? So that you are talking to me consistently. You're staying motivated. You're staying inspired. You're staying clear. And we also talk, via email between sessions. And then you have 1 week off per month to implement, so that you can just go and do. And if you need to catch up or whatever, or you're traveling, it doesn't matter. You can stay on track with this sprint, designed to help you develop a system that's going to work for you going forward. So that by the end of May, in those 90 days, you're feeling clear, you're feeling confident, and you've already created that consistency, so that you can head into the summer with that consistency. You can head in knowing, gosh, I spent the spring doing exactly what I needed to do. Finally got myself clear. I finally got myself consistently visible. I finally got clear on what I'm offering, who I'm offering it to, and how I'm offering it, right? And that way you walk away with the results of actually having those clients and a system that works for you in a way that feels good, right? In a way that doesn't burn you out. So this is for you if you have a business idea already, you have a general idea of who you're looking to reach, and you have at least an idea of a service that you'd like to offer them, right? If you're like, I have no idea what I want to do with my business, or like, I have no idea who I want to help, or I don't have any idea what I would maybe even want to sell, then the option for you would be to consider a half-day intensive with me, where what we're going to do is get you clear on those things and just get you focused, right? Get you a plan so that you can go out and test and tweak that. But if you're wanting to kind of take this business idea that you have and develop it over the course of 90 days into something that is actually generating clients and cash, then the From Stuck to Signing Clients 90-day sprint, exclusively available until next Friday, March 1st, is for you to consider. And I'd be honored to talk to you about it. So what's the best way to get in touch with me about that? You can book a call with me, and I'll put the link right here. You can book a call. I call them clarity calls. It's a chance for you and I to chat about whether this is a good fit for you, and make sure we're both clear on your goals, and that the From Stuck to Signing Clients 90-day sprint is the right fit and the right choice for you. Here's the deal. It's the last chance to work with me one-on-one until the fall. Last chance to work with me one-on-one until the fall. Last chance to work with me, as your coach until the fall. And so, like I said, it's available until Friday, March 1st. This is a real urgency factor. I have a baby in my belly. And I want to help you, those of you who are ready, to show up in this way and get that one-on-one support over the next 90 days. I talked to a lot of you at the beginning of the year about your goals for quarter one, about your goals for 2019 in general, and what you felt you needed to get there. And one theme that I heard a lot over and over and over was I need like individual one-on-one support that I know is going to be customized to me, that I know is going to be customized to my business, that is specific to my situation, my goals, my blocks, my hangups, my struggles, whatever feels unique about my business and my situation. And so this 90-day sprint is a great way for you to get access to me one-on-one every week, right? 3 weeks a month for 30 minutes to have that level of support that leads to my clients quitting their jobs or replacing their incomes, right? 75% of my clients have quit their jobs as a result of us working together. And those are the ones who were looking to quit their jobs, right? Like hadn't already quit their jobs. So whether you want to quit or you are already out and you're looking to increase your income, your client load, all of that stuff, the Stuck to Signing clients is a great opportunity for you to get my support for the last time as a coach until the fall, because I do plan to take the summer off. So how does it work? Like I said, you get it's 3 months, 3 calls, 3 30-minute calls a month. I liked all the the threes in here, right? 3 months, 3 30-minute private coaching sessions with me per month, and 1 week to implement and integrate everything you've learned. You get 24/7 email support with me so that you can reach out anytime. And I'm also going to help you with either media training or editing your content. If you want to be on video, I'll help you get comfortable being on video. Obviously, it's something I've done a lot of. Also, my professional background as an interviewer and as a video documentarian producer. I'm really naturally good at helping you get comfortable on camera. So bringing that skill. Or if you decide that you want to do something that's more text-based and writing-based, guess what? I'm a writer, right? I've written a best-selling book. I've been writing and generating content both for clients and for myself my entire time running a business. And so I am here to help you edit, come up with content ideas, create a visibility plan in a way that works best for you, and to then teach you how to do sales and book those clients so that by the end of 3 months, you have all the pieces put together and you've tweaked it and tested them all with support in place to make sure we have a plan, a solution that works for you and that is working to grow your business. And that's the From Stuck to Signing clients 90-day sprint. Now, here's the thing. Like I told you, real urgency factor. It only goes through next Friday, March 1st. So if you have a question, you want to chat about it, book a call, let's talk, let's help you decide whether this is the right fit and this is the right time. Because after that, it's gone. And know that I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have. I hope this was a helpful training for you. I really, really want to demystify what it takes to have a big month, what it takes to have a 20K cash month, and to sit here and say, look, guys, I'm going through stuff just like you are. We all do. We all do when we're building businesses, right? Life happens. Kids get sick. Pets get sick. Family gets sick. We get sick, right? Stuff happens if we're still working in our day jobs. Stuff happens in our family, in our lives, whatever. And none of it has to be a reason that you don't get to grow your business unless you choose it. The choice is yours ultimately. And I'm not saying that to make you wrong, but recognizing you have a choice. You have a choice when you're throwing up half the day to also continue to build your business and have an awesome month, right? You have a choice to make it as simple as you want. You have a choice to get consistent when you're ready. And if you're like me and you know that a lot of times you do better if you're held accountable and you have somebody you really trust to support you in this process, then I'd love to talk to you about this 90-day sprint offer while it's good. If you have any questions at all, insights, whatever, please pop them in the comments or feel free to book a call with me or PM me. I look forward to hearing from you and talking to you more soon. Have a wonderful day. And here, my friends, is to your income replacement into living a life with passion.